Hello everyone, this afternoon on The Marketplace, Chief of Staff directs a new technical committee to deliver a roadmap to address the looming power crisis by the end of the day.
Government has been briefed in order to address the situation, because we know that it is pretty urgent. A technical committee has been set up that has representatives from all the key players in the management of Ghana's energy sector.
We've got details from a just-ended emergency meeting of key stakeholders in the energy sector also coming up this afternoon. Government misses inflation target for 2024 as December sees a marginal increase to 23.8%, triggered by rising food prices.
Of December 2024, average prices of goods and services went up by 23.8%, indicating that on a year-on-year basis, specifically between December 2023 and December 2024, general price levels of goods and services went up by 23.8%.
Coming up, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, admits fiscal challenges contributed largely to rising inflation and the depreciation of the cedi.
Given what happened in the earlier part of the year, it is no surprise that we were not able to see as much improvement in the disinflation process as we would have seen if we didn't have problems with the exchange.
Darryl Kwao, thanks for being with us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. The Chief of Staff, Julius Deborah, has directed a new technical committee to present a comprehensive roadmap to address the nation's power challenges by close of the day. The move follows warnings from former co-chairman of the transition team, a subcommittee on energy and natural resources, John Jinapor, of a potential crisis due to fuel shortages. Mr. Jinapor also raised concerns about the ballooning debt owed independent power producers, further complicating the situation. Take a listen to presidential spokesperson Felix Kwachofusu.
Government has been briefed in order to address the situation, because we know that it is pretty urgent. A technical committee has been set up that has representatives from all the key players in the management of Ghana's energy sector. And they have up until the close of day today to put before government a roadmap on what exactly needs to be done and how it can be done. So you can rest assured that government is taking the matter seriously and will do what has to be done in order to avert any difficulty for the people of Ghana. It needs to be stressed that the pegging exercise, or if you like, the maintenance exercise on the pipeline, should have been carried out in October of last year. Government then, the MPP government, requested that they shift it to January 20th in order that they will have sufficient time to procure the alternative fuels, that is the liquid oils, to power the thermal plants within the period that gas will not be available. At least in about 2 national security briefings that the then president-elect held with the present government, he asked about the status of the procurement of oils, and he was given firm assurance by the then government that they had put mechanisms in place to resolve the situation, that there will not be the difficulty that we are talking about today. It does appear that that promise was not kept. And therefore, the responsibility has shifted to the present government. But President Mahama is alive to the task, and adequate responses will be fashioned to address this particular concern. Well, various options are on the table, and as I indicated, there's a committee, a technical committee, with representation from all the key players in the energy value chain that will be meeting, and they have close of day today to present a roadmap. So all options that can be explored to, first of all, avert any difficulty and address the situation at hand will be put on the table, and government will make a decision based on what we receive.
Meanwhile, GRIDCo has announced that the West African Gas Pipeline Company, WAPCo, will cut the gas supply for mandatory maintenance from January 20 to February 16, 2025. Here's Frank Oche, who is Director Systems Operations at GRIDCo.
Government has been briefed in order to address the situation, because we know that it is pretty urgent.
Runs from Nigeria and brings gas to Ghana. This, as they informed, is a critical maintenance after a certain number of hours and period of running to ensure the integrity of the pipeline. Now, this work requires that the pipeline, that the portion which sends gas to power plants in Tema will be shut down for the period. The period they need to do the maintenance is about 1 month. Now, because the gas that they supply to Tema plants in Tema is going to be shut down, it is needful that we get some liquid fuels for some of the plants in Tema to run, so that we continue to have adequate supply even during the period of the pigging. What we came to inform the government is that, yes, there are some liquid fuels, but it's not enough to cover for the period of the pigging. And so efforts have to be made to get enough volumes of the liquid fuel so that that critical maintenance can go on as planned. So this is what we came to inform the government.
All right, joining me on Zoom, Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security, Nana Amwesi the 7th. Happy New Year to you. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us, Nana. So we are co-chairman of the Transition Team Subcommittee on Energy and Natural Resources, joining up for raising concerns about the looming power crisis. Herbert Krapper, former Minister of Energy, disputing that the blame game is on. What really is the situation on the ground? What are your sources telling you about the power situation?
Thanks for having me, Daryl, and good afternoon to your viewers. Before the election, we from our decks, that is IES, knew very well that we're struggling to stock liquid fuel so that in case of any disruption to natural gas flow, we could fall on. The stock that we had were very low, and up until now, the stocks are low and cannot deal with any challenge to any meaningful end. As we have it today, yes, we have some liquid fuel in the SEM power system. We have also liquid fuel at AXA, but it is zero at Asogli, it is zero at Ontema power plant. The one at SEM power and AXA is not enough. It can't take us beyond a week should they be forced to rely on liquid fuel for whatever reason. And so the situation on the ground is quite dire. Quickly as possible, there are 3 things that we can do. One lies mainly and fully with government to decide as soon as possible to make arrangement for procurement of fuel. The next is for government to engage WAPCo, that we all understand, as you know today, that they intend to carry out a planned maintenance from 20th of this month up until the mid of February. Government must engage WAPCo to see if there's the room for possible deferment of the program. The next is that if WAPCo chooses not to do that and government fuel procurement doesn't come on time, the third option is that Ghanaians must be prepared to go through doomsday.
Yeah, I want to bring up WAPCo because as we heard from Frank Archie of GRIDCo, WAPCo is going to shut down for maintenance between January 20 and February 16. We are told that GRIDCo would need, by GRIDCo, that Ghana would need $90 million to purchase fuel to prevent a looming power crisis. How does that further aggravate the situation at hand?
Of course, it does. But then government has a goodwill. They can trade with that goodwill as soon as possible for procurement of fuel. They've been in government before. They've dealt with suppliers before. I'm sure if they activate their old sources, it may help. If there is nothing wrong also with the current source of fuel supply arrangements, then they can also fall on it because that could be more fluid in coming. But if there are problems, then of course that could be held at bay and interrogated later. But then we must start from somewhere. We must find money. We must find any resource possible to get in the fuel. That's very critical. If not, if we even don't go through the WAPCo plant maintenance and touch wood, anything happen to the pipeline transmission system, we are still exposed as a country. We'll be exposed up until when we have a good reserve or backup of liquid fuel for our power plants.
All right, and we are told that the end of this meeting today with government and the key power sector players that the new technical committee is supposed to bring up a roadmap to address the challenges. Your thoughts on this approach by the new government?
It is a wise approach that has been taken. An emergency conference of stakeholders in the power sector, critical. First, it affords them the opportunity to deal with the current challenge at hand and also look at the broader power space, the challenges in there. They could audit the system, then begin to prefer solutions to all the teething problems that we have. We aren't only dealing with fuel supply challenge here. We are also dealing with debt in the sector. We are dealing with inefficiencies in particularly the ECG system and also our inability to adhere to the cash waterfall mechanism. Meanwhile, we can make this offer for free for government to go back looking at a concessionary agreement with ECG, because today, if we want to invest in the ECG, there won't be enough of money for government's own source to deal with that. Private sector participation is key in this stead. And so we are waiting to see what government will do going forward.
Well, they've been given end of day. Hopefully we hear something by the end of business today. Thank you so much. And we see the 7th Executive Director of the IAS. Happy New Year once again. Thanks for speaking with us. Well, today we are getting a reading of inflation for December 2024. It went up marginally, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. Let's take a listen to this report from my colleague, James Ishan.
An inflation of 23%. This basically means that government missed its end-of-year target inflation, which was being pegged at 15%, and at a point was being revised to 18%. And when you go through the components, you realize that this time food inflation also, drove the inflation to that point. Somewhere in November 2024, food inflation was somewhere hovering around 25%, but currently around 27.9%.
Fruits and nuts that recorded a price change of 66.2% relative to the regional food inflation of 46.0% for the month of December 2024. Highlights of December 2024 rate of inflation. In the month of December 2024, average prices of goods and services went up by 23.8%, indicating that on a year-on-year basis, specifically between December 2023 and December 2024, general price levels of goods and services went up by 23.8%. This is on the backdrop that on a year-on-year basis, November 2024 we recorded an overall rate of inflation of 23.0%, indicating that on a year-on-year basis, between November and December 2024, we saw a marginal increase of 0.0 points for the year-on-year inflation.
However, non-food inflation for the month of December 2024 also went down to some 20.3%, coming all the way from some 20.7% in November 2024. Now, when you also look at locally produced items, as well as imported items, they rather experience some sort of shoot, going up compared to what we experienced in November 2024.
Disaggregating year-on-year inflation from a food and non-food perspective, we identified a 7.5 percentage point difference between inflation for food and inflation for non-food, with inflation for food standing at 27.8% in the month of December 2024 and non-food inflation 20.3% for the month of December 2024. We have seen an increase in food inflation, increasing from 25.9% to 27.8%. And in contrast, we have recorded a decline in non-food inflation, declining from 20.7% by 0.4 percentage points to 20.3% for the month of December 2024.
Now, when you look at some divisions, it appears alcoholic beverages food also, recorded an inflation rate higher than the national inflation. Then the Upper East region also recording some 40.6% inflation, being the highest regional, with the highest, inflation for the month of December 2024, whereas the Eastern region also recording some 16% inflation for the month of December 2024. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
Now, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has admitted that fiscal challenges over the years played a major role in the current struggles with inflation and the city. Inflation is still high despite recent slowdown, whilst the city until recently had been under serious pressure over the past months. Now, Dr. Addison knows that a program with the IMF could deal with the challenge going forward.
During the year, we had fairly difficult time controlling the exchange rate. In the first quarter of the year, the cedi depreciated quite significantly, partly because we also had very ambitious reserve accumulation targets under the IMF program. So the central bank did not have enough room to maneuver in the first half of the year in terms of its ability to support the currency. This changed significantly towards the end of the year. As you can see, there was some improvement in our balance of payments, which allowed the central bank to be able to more effectively impact on the exchange rate. Now, given what happened in the earlier part of the year, it is no surprise that we were not able to see as much improvement in the disinflation process as we would have seen if we didn't have problems with the exchange rate, because there's a significant pass-through. As soon as you get a lot of exchange rate depreciation, that automatically transmits into the changes in the price level. And therefore, your ability to deliver low inflation also hinges on your ability to keep the currency relatively stable. And this is the major challenge for this year. You had a currency that was being driven mainly by sentiments, by speculative activity. A lot of people were holding on to dollars in case something went wrong. And really, this is why we had such a tough time, with the exchange rate in the first 9 months of the year. It's only in the last quarter of the year that we had seen some appreciation of the cedi. So hopefully going into 2025, we expect this improvement in the currency to continue, and that would mean that we would see more progress in terms of the price level. Inflation will tend to go down, and the forecast is for us to get into single digits by the end of next year. This is really, or at least by the end of the first quarter of 2026.
You're watching The Marketplace. We're taking a short break. We're back with Let's Talk Tech. All right, welcome back to the marketplace. Time to talk tech. Henry Kobler, who is lead for Eyes of Africa, joins me on Zoom to discuss the top tech predictions for 2025. Happy New Year to you, Henry. Thanks for joining us. I want to first start off with Asia and Ghana. There's a new government. President John Mahama has assumed office. Based on his policies, how do you anticipate our tech industry to change locally?
Happy New Year to you, Daryl. So generally, as we have a new government, you're expecting quite a number of changes in the policy points for the tech industry. It has been a much anticipated point in terms of the conversations throughout the campaigns, and the fact that digitalization became a point for the old government, and now the current government seems to be looking into it. I've seen quite a lot of aggressive to say personalities from the current government now pushing and looking into digitalization strongly. I'm looking, first of all, them looking into the 5G spectrum, which is being deployed currently. I'm looking at some level of transformation and how it's basically going to hit and impact individuals directly in our phones. I'm looking at a bit of shake-up with the current arrangement that's there because it had seemed to be a little bit political, but I'm looking at quite a bit of introspection into the contracts for that. Secondly, I'm also looking into the various contracts for most of the digitalization sectors that has been initiated, and if there could be some level of synergy that is going to come together to sort of link most of these applications together, and then also have a clarity into the people that are sort of behind most of these contracts, and how the improvement of these contracts and sectors and systems are going to be impactful to the people of Ghana.
No doubt, artificial intelligence is going to dominate in the year 2025. What kind of disruptions will AI cause?
So we've had some level of feel of how AI is sort of going to get around, but I'm thinking that it's going to, first of all, affect economic trajectories, generally because you're going to have, say, in the US, the stock markets are going to start being shaken because there's going to be a lot of deployment of AI intelligence into stock market predictions and being able to push up that. Again, it's also going to affect cryptocurrency and blockchain points, and with that, it's going to start trickling down to our stock markets here in Ghana as well. And so quite a lot of people are going to be dependent on AI to be doing most of the predictions. The Trump administration seems to be very assertive and encouraging when it comes down to the stock market and the general cryptocurrency market. And so I'm expecting AI to play a major role. I'm expecting a lot of robotics coming into play as well. And what I might probably put across is that the current government in their 24-hour economy push should also be looking at AI in it. I mean, it's generally not just going to be about human beings getting work to do, but also having proper systems to be able to be efficient and effective in the deployment of these transformational agendas and policies to industries and the economy as a whole. Again, I'm also looking at some level of AI hitting up on space. It's very funny, but we're looking at how, let's say, Elon and how he's making use of his internet points for us. And so AI would really be looking into hitting up on space and the technologies in space and the transformations generally as well. And I'm also looking at some level of biotechnology with AI as well. A lot of research getting into most of these drugs which are hitting up on lawsuits and all of that. I'm thinking that quite a lot of research can be done better off in terms of our healthcare with AI.
What do you have in your notes as well?
Again, in my notes, I'm going to say that the people that are looking into schooling in the very future of computers should be looking at quantum computers. It's coming up strongly, and so anybody that's looking up to picking up any course outside Ghana, and even the universities relatively should be looking at quantum computing. It's coming up strongly for us. 5G, again, is also going to have some level of expansion across the world. Out there, 5G seems to be making a bit of good with it, but I think that the expansion of it and how fast it's going to be is also going to be. And influence marketing also is going to play a big role, especially in Ghana as well.
We've got to go. Great to see you, Henry. We'll continue the conversation next week here on The Marketplace. That's our program. Thanks for watching, everyone. There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time tomorrow.